Hello, welcome to Geeks Unleashed. It's episode 119. I'm Mark,
I'm Jasmine.
and as of episode 100, each week we will be talking about our current viewing, reading, or gaming habits while mixing in a review of adapted content from something from the gaming or comic world.
Mhm. Yes. And before we get started, if you are watching on YouTube, thank you so much. We appreciate that. We would love it if you would like our video and subscribe to our channel. And if you're listening on your favorite podcast platform, we appreciate that as well. We would also very much love it if you would leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or Podchaser.
Also, just a reminder that we do have a Ko-fi. If you would like to make a donation at all, we would be much appreciated. So,
Yes.
uh, however, this is a slightly different episode. Normally, we do chat about some sort of current affairs. Nobody got slapped this week.
No, we're just going to talk about movie drama this week.
No one got slapped this week. We're not going to chat about our current habits either. We're just going to continue from last week's 2 week special on Shazam. So this week, Shazam: Fury of the Gods, 2023, obviously came out the other day, as we all know. So based off characters from Fawcett Publishing and DC Comics.
And again, first appearance of Shazam was in Wiz Comics #2 in 1940. Shazam was created by Bill Parker and CC Beck. Also, the Daughters of Atlas, not from DC Comics. There is a character in DC Comics named Atlas that had a stint in the Justice Society at one point, but that is not the character that they are referencing in this film. So the Daughters of Atlas are pulled directly from Greek mythology, which I thought was kind of interesting. And unbeknownst to him, Billy actually released these gods from their prison when he broke Sivana's staff in the first film, at the end of the first film, once they were done with their battle. And I think the only of the 3 daughters, we've got Hespera, Calypso, and Athena or Athena. I think they said it 2 different ways. Her nickname was Anne. Anyway, Athena is known to DC characters because Athena is the god that formed Diana from clay to give to Hippolyta to answer her prayers for a daughter. So Athena we're familiar with as DC comic fans, but in general, the Daughters of Atlas is new to the DC fandom.
I did not realize that. I'm not the strongest Shazam or Wonder Woman expert. Anyway, movie is written by Henry Gayden and Chris Morgan, directed by David F. Sandberg.
And it stars all of the same people, including Zachary Levi, Asher Angel, Grace Caroline Curry, Jack Dylan Grazer, Rachel Ziegler, Adam Brody, Ross Butler, Megan Good, Lucy Liu, Jaimin Hansu, and Helen Mirren.
Did you notice though the recasting of not the recast? Actually, no, not even the
They didn't recast. They just didn't have an old Mary anymore.
Yeah, they got rid of the actress who played the older Mary. Was it Michelle Borth who played superhero Mary?
So now Mary is old enough that when she transforms, she stays herself.
However, when they did the flashback to the first movie, they didn't have the older one. So they kind of left her out. So yeah, that was something that kind of annoyed me because they didn't mention it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I get annoyed when they don't. They kind of ignore these sort of things. So anyway, so release date was the 17th of March 2023. Running time was 130 minutes. Budget was 110 million, 120 million, something like that. Box office so far, obviously we're recording this 1 week in. Box office is 73.5 million, like I say, 1 week in.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's going to make its money back, but it is not being received well so far. So as with all DC properties at the moment, rumors about the turmoil on set and the drama and the this and the that, and oh my god, I love it. It's like watching an episode of like the Kardashians or something. Okay, so we all know the drama with Black Adam and all of the jockeying that The Rock did to get Henry Cavill back into the DCEU to have that mid-credit scene with Black Adam. Well, originally Shazam's mid-credit scene was supposed to include two characters from Black Adam that were coming to recruit Shazam for the Justice Society. But The Rock was like, nope, you ain't using none of my characters from my movie. And so they didn't have access to, they wanted to use Hawkman and Cyclone to come out and to recruit Shazam. And they could not do that. So the director had to make an executive decision, and they decided to pull in some of the Peacemaker characters, which still makes sense in the grand scheme of like this shared universe, though who knows how much longer this universe is going to be shared. So we got two characters from Peacemaker. We got Amelia and John that came out to recruit Shazam by way of Amanda Waller. So Amanda Waller is still pulling some strings behind the scenes, even in Shazam. I don't know. Like, I am so curious. Like, I wish I could be a fly on the wall over at DC and Warner Brothers just to kind of like hear what goes on in these meetings. Like, how I can understand like why you would want to stake yourself like with The Rock, because The Rock is such a big draw. But like, how did you guys just give him the run of everything? Like, how did he get to be the end all be all, and not only in his film, but like all of the stuff that has happened, supposedly, allegedly happened. We have lost Henry Cavill as Superman. We are not getting a Black Adam sequel, and very likely we are not getting a third Shazam film. Like, I mean, what are we doing? What is happening? I
I
just don't
assume the
understand it.
potential Shazam sequel is not to do with The Rock, though. I assume that's more James Gunn. Also, I assume it will be how well received financially this film will be.
Yeah.
Let's
Well,
be honest. If
after a
this,
week, it's not looking good.
let's be honest. If this film made $1 billion,
Oh yeah.
that they would say, look,
Yeah.
Jay,
Any film made $1 billion. If the
yeah,
Fantastic Four movie from a few, or like if anything made $1 billion, they're making like 15 sequels. Like
yeah.
that would never be an issue.
Also, what? Sorry, hold on a minute. Let me go back up. What was the budget? Was
100 to 125.
Yeah. Let's okay. Even if this made 500, 600, they would make a sequel for this. So
Well, the first one made 333.
yeah,
So
and that
I,
made and it made. I think we said it made similar levels of return compared to Black Adam.
yeah.
So
So I think,
yeah.
I mean, I still see this movie making its money back. I think it's probably going to hit close to 300, maybe like 270 to 300 million. I think this one will make. Give it some time.
Mm. I was reading an article about I was reading an article earlier about this movie, and the general feel is that Warner Brothers have already written this film off and almost abandoned ship already. I didn't see what the movement was on the online release, but apparently they've moved it up from what they had previously. So
You said the online release?
yeah, so the digital release apparently that's been moved up. So
Oh, that's not good. If they're pulling it out
yeah.
of theaters that soon.
Well, I don't know if they're necessarily putting it out, but whatever the release date was, I didn't take a note of it. But whatever the release date was on the online release, they're bringing it like closer. So
I just
and the
I
general
wish they
feel.
would go through a lot of this in private. Like, I hate that they have to go through all of this drama in public, because like every time someone leaks something, it's like, oh God, speculate, speculate, speculate. Like, I don't know. I want to know. Like, I want to know what the plan is. I guess like we all have to wait for the Flash, right? Like, everybody is just hinging everything on this Flash movie to see where that leaves the DCEU once that movie comes out.
I think the problem with this movie was, I think James Gunn announced his plan of the Flash is going to kind of reboot the DCU. However, before we get to the Flash, we've got this movie, Aquaman, I think, and was there another movie? Blue Beetle.
Oh yeah.
And then we've got the Flash. I think I can't remember the timeline of when they're all coming out now, but we've got those three movies that are kind of just made, and they are what they are. And then we've got the Flash, and then from there we're going to have his whole new DCU.
Right.
I think he should have made his announcement after the Flash. I think he should have let these films come out as they were, and he should have said like the announcement of the restructure will come after the Flash, or something like that. Like, we've got these 4 films in the bag. I don't want to take away from them. He could have even just been honest, saying, I don't want to take away from these films. I'm fully behind these films. My announcement will come after these films that have already been made before I came along. you know, he could even say, look, I've made a few tweaks to them just to get them into where I'm going. But they're stand on that, you know, they stand their own, they're part of the DCU, etc. But what he did, I think, by throwing up that announcement of, you know, this is my new 10-year plan from the
Yeah.
Flash, was actually these 3 films actually don't really matter anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
So
You just said that your $100+ million films are useless.
yeah, so by saying that, he's actually lost DC Warner Brothers quite a lot of money, I would imagine. He should have been fully supportive of these films.
Yeah.
Which I don't. So I think, yeah, between James Gunn and The Rock, yeah, I don't know. I feel like they all need to grow up a little bit. There's a lot of ego being thrown
Oh
around,
boy.
and
Yes. Good
like
grief. Like I don't
even
even know how they
James,
all fit in the same room.
even James Gunn, like you know, they've all got their, you know, I don't know, they all want to be the king in the room, don't they? I think, although at the moment though, James Gunn's got more power than The Rock, which must really wind The Rock up. So, um,
Yeah, man.
what's funny is, you know, the actress that they had from Peacemaker show up at the end.
Yeah.
Um,
That's his wife. That's
that's his
wifey.
wife. That's his
Hmm.
wife. Yeah. So,
Wifey got work. Like he's not cutting her paycheck, that's for sure.
oh yeah, she's in pretty much everything now. So,
Yeah.
I think a
She
few
was in
people.
Black Adam too.
Well, yeah. Well, I think a few people are giving him shit about that, like nepotism. But I mean, you know, it's his wife. Of course, he's going to help her out. Like,
Well, yeah, I think they
or
met like on the set of the
the
Suicide
Suicide
Squad.
Squad. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, so she was already in that before that was happening, and then she hasn't been in a massive amount since. She was in Peacemaker, a cameo in Black Adam, and now a cameo in Shazam 2.
Hmm.
So, uh, I'm sure we'll see more of her though. Let's
Oh
be
yeah.
honest though, she's going to side with James Gunn, not The Rock. So,
I mean,
uh,
at this
she knows
point,
where
yeah.
she knows where her bread is buttered. So, right. Anyway, summary for the film. Film continues the story of teenager Billy Batson, who, upon reciting the magic word Shazam, is transformed into his adult superhero alter ego Shazam. Obviously, summaries from IMDb. Tiny, tiny 2-line summary.
Yeah.
But as we said earlier, it is a continuation in every sense of the word from the previous movie.
Hmm.
Um, I've got some thoughts on actually that, but you know, saving the day from the previous bad guy essentially created this whole movie,
Hmm.
and we've also got the continuation of the found family drama, and as well as introducing new villains, and yeah, and then whilst I feel kind of been standalone ish,
Hmm.
is a DCU film. So
It is.
anyway,
I mean, I think obviously you had to have seen the first one to understand this one, but you don't have to have seen anything else in the DCEU. So yeah, I would still say Shazam is very, very sort of independent of the rest of the DCEU.
um, anyway, do you want to summarize your thoughts on this movie?
So I I enjoyed this movie. I think I really like the sort of lighthearted tone that Shazam had in the first film and continues to have in this one. And I very much like that he's kind of an idiot, and mainly because like he's still a kid, and it makes sense that he's not like suddenly mature, like, oh no, I have these powers and this responsibility, and so I better like grow up. Like he hasn't gotten there yet. And so I think it's really great that they kind of kept him at a level where he's just like, I have no idea what the hell I'm doing. Like, honestly, like, I mean, without you guys, I'd be nothing. Again, love the found family. That's still one of my favorite tropes. And I really like the way that they kind of play up to Billy's insecurity throughout the film. And his insecurity is like, shit, I'm almost 18. And when I'm 18, you age out of the foster system. There's no more state support, yada, yada, yada. Then what? Like, this is the first time I've ever felt comfortable and had like a place to call home and people to call family. And he didn't want to lose that. And so by him not wanting to lose that, he became extremely clingy and like overprotective of everyone else and didn't want them to go off and do their own thing either. Like he got really frustrated with Freddy. And I mean, you can understand why Freddy wants to be in his Shazam character all the time because Freddie has trouble walking. Like he has a degenerative disease. Like, of course he'd want to be in his superhero form where his body is perfect, you know? And then Mary chose not to go to college and to stay home and get a job and to help out with the family. And it's like, I don't know. I really like the humanity that we get in this one. Like they just have regular problems. Like they're regular people with regular problems. And then on top of all that, it's like, oh well, we got to save the world from these vengeful gods. Like I don't know. I really like the balance. I really do. A lot of people give the Shazam franchise like shit for being too hokey or cheesy or too young. But I mean, they're kids, you know, like they're kids in these costumes. So to me, it makes perfect sense that they are a bit immature and that some of the things that they do are a bit silly and stupid. But they still have big hearts and they still have this urge to help people, even if they fuck it up sometimes.
Yeah, yeah. I think for me, this movie, what was it? Came out like a week ago,
Mm-hmm.
and generally online, people have been not saying the best of things about this movie, which I don't know, it doesn't really inspire you with confidence when you walk in
Yeah.
to the movie theater. However, I actually enjoyed this film.
Yeah.
I thought it was an enjoyable movie. Look, it's not going to change my life. It's not going to win probably many awards or anything like that, but it was a
Mm-hmm.
good continuation of the first film. It kind of really did follow on. Really, the only other tweak was the Mary thing that they got rid of the older one.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, that kind of annoys me a little bit that like the parents didn't know. I kind of had to write that a little bit off as
Yeah.
they would just need to pretend that bit didn't happen.
Yeah.
But anyway, I think overall, I think I really did enjoy this movie. I enjoyed just everything about it. Really, just it was funny still.
Mm-hmm.
It was kind of, I guess, serious when it needed to be, especially around certain maybe dying scenes, maybe
Mm-hmm.
not dying scenes of different characters. I like the fact that we got more into the mythology. I love their sort of lair and how it had different rooms.
Yeah.
So like very Harry Potter esque.
Yeah.
With
I love the library. That was a
the
really nice
library,
addition. Yeah.
yeah, the library, the magic door room. Yeah, so I loved how we got more of the wizard. So I loved how it built into the mythology. Also connected slightly with Wonder Woman's mythology.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I just think overall it was a good, nice DC movie, and actually, where DC movies have generally been quite dark, this movie actually, again in the first movie, did quite well to stand apart from that. But I mean, actually, the
Right.
more light-hearted one.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like a kind of I don't know, like a movie with some slight heart and not, yeah, I don't
It
know.
doesn't feel dire. Like it
Yeah,
actually
yeah,
just,
dire. That's the word. Yeah,
yeah.
dire. It was not. It's not as dire as Batman versus Superman and Man of
Right.
Steel and
Right.
Justice League. Well, the Zack Snyder Justice League. So, yeah, those movies are a lot more dire. The Snyderverse is a lot more dire.
Yeah.
As
Very
we're
dark.
coming out, of the Snyderverse, those other movies aren't as dire. And I
Mm-hmm.
know that DC is quite happy to release R-rated 18 movies, but it's quite nice as well to have more friendly family movies. So
Yeah.
in the movie theater, there was a good mixture of children and adults, which
Yeah.
is fine. Like,
I was the only person in my theater that didn't have a kid with them.
oh, well, um, yeah, no, I think to be honest, overall, I think the movie flowed well. I was quite pleased with it. I sat there. I wouldn't say at any point was I bored or looking at my watch. I knew it was a 2 hour movie,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, no, I think it was well put together. But anyway, so I think it'd be nice to move along to characters, because I think characters is actually a big part of this movie. It's
Yeah.
very, although it's a Zachariah Levi movie, and he is the front and center man of this film, it is still an ensemble cast,
Mm-hmm.
which, and they're completely reliant on Captain Every Power.
Yeah.
And
Captain Every Power Junior.
yeah, yeah. But also, I think they so with as she's known in the comics, Mary Marvel. I think that Mary is a really, well, she was in the first one. She's much more in the limelight. I think they've
Mm-hmm.
done well with her as well. I think the new additions as well, the three sisters. I think they I wouldn't say their background wasn't fleshed out, but it wasn't massively fleshed out. But still, I
Yeah.
think that there was strength around the fact that we had Lucy Liu and I forget the other actress's name.
Helen Mirren and Rachel
Yeah,
Zegler.
yeah, Helen Mirren,
Yeah.
Helen Mirren, and they're actresses that you have faith in.
Hmm.
They're extremely well known, and they've got go through their IMDb, probably goes on for years. Lucy Liu, I've always been a fan of.
Hmm.
I think that I don't know if you ever heard me say that I watched Elementary, where she played Joan Watson. So I was always been a fan of those. I think the younger girl, was it Anne,
Hmm.
as well, I think was actually quite a good addition. I
Yeah.
did see that twist coming a mile off.
How could you
Did you?
not?
Did you see it?
Well,
Probably not.
yeah, because she seemed genuinely interested in Freddie.
Yeah, not the first scene. The first scene when they meet in the corridor, not so much. Initially, I didn't see any twist coming. Initially, my
Hmm.
first twist, the first scene, I didn't see any twist coming. But as she started to ask more questions about, oh, you're the guy that met the superheroes. I started to
Hmm.
see that. I thought, okay, like, what's the deal? So,
Yeah.
um,
But where did you sit? What? Why would you ask that?
that was a weird question.
Yeah.
I guess it was a way of getting him talking about them.
Yeah.
So, like, yeah, where did you sit? Blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, no, it was a good twist, but it was one that became obvious, I think, after that first scene. So,
Yeah. I mean, I don't think it's necessarily bad. I do think that we got better villains this time around. Like I
mhm.
love
Oh, I
Mark
prefer
Strong and
these
I did like
villains.
Dr. Savannah, but I think that the three daughters of Atlas as villains were much better. Like they were much
Mhm.
stronger villains. And I believed their reason more than I believed his reason. So I
Yeah.
think that we did get a level up on the villains. And we got
But
a
yeah, I definitely.
dragon. Like, how cool is that? I don't care how old you are. Like, dragons to me are always cool.
I think the parents, I would say, are paper thin. Whilst they, came across very genuine in
Hmm.
their love for their children, they are not given any development in this film
Mm-mm.
or the previous film. They are there just to tick the box of having
Yes, loving parents.
parents,
Yes,
loving parents. I mean, it was a nice scene between the mum and Billy,
yeah.
like,
And when he
and
finally called her mom, that was really sweet.
that was obvious as well. That was coming when he called
Yeah,
her name earlier in the film,
yeah,
and I thought, oh, okay, by the end of the movie, he's going to call her mum.
yeah.
But the guy, the dad, he's in The Walking Dead. Well, I know it's finished now,
Hmm.
but he's a character that I really like in The Walking Dead. Who oh, I'm terrible with names, but he works for the king with the lion.
Ezekiel.
But yeah, Ezekiel, yeah, he's like part of that community.
Mm.
So, but that again, because I see him in The Walking Dead, or I used to see him regularly in The Walking Dead. I loved seeing him in this movie, but that's where they sometimes get off. I think a little bit having actors that have a fan base themselves,
Hmm.
that they probably think we don't need to flesh out their character too much because there will be an element of Walking Dead fans watching this and stuff like that. So,
Well, I also think though,
uh,
like they're not even secondary characters. I think the parents in this one are like third level characters because the bond in this film is between the siblings.
mhm.
So I
You got
think
to
that
think that.
they do that really well. And I don't think that the parents changed from the first film to the second film. So I don't really feel like you miss out on anything by them just kind of being background.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Yeah.
I think in some ways, actually, something you just said just made me think. In some ways, this is about two families versus each other. You've got the three
Right.
sisters, one family, versus the found family of the Shazams.
Yeah.
So, and it kind of um, they both have their own needs. Each family has their own needs
Right.
and their own agenda. However, the Shazam family actually is able to stay together and stay strong,
Hmm.
despite not all being blood related. Whilst the three sisters who have lived for over 6,000 years
Hmm.
aren't completely on the same page and
Right.
united as the Shazam family. And once they start united, they can see that actually that some of them are more corrupted than others,
Right.
and they start to fall apart by not having the same agenda and the same beliefs.
Hmm.
So they start to become inspired by the Shazam family, and which causes more friction and
Yes,
fallout and breakup. And it's a common thing used in many
of
movies
course.
or TV shows. But it is very much two families versus each other.
Hmm.
And I kind of liked the analogy that Helen Mirren did give Shazam, in terms of, someone took coin from your house and then dropped it, and then your neighbor picked it up. Would you not still want that coin back,
Hmm.
etc. And I liked how she simplified it in terms of their needs, but her needs, I think that generally was Helen Mirren's character's needs.
Hmm.
However, Lucy Liu's character
She
had
wanted
far bigger.
vengeance.
Had far, and that is where it normally goes wrong. It's
Yep,
vengeance. So
vengeance.
when you're blinded by rage, normally things go wrong. So,
That's usually how it works.
uh, so um, there's many characters in this film, as we just discussed. But do you
Hmm.
have a favorite at all?
Ooh, um, honestly, I think I'm gonna
Difficult
have to
one.
give it to Big Shazam this time. Like, I think Freddy was my favorite in the first film. Um, but I think just Shazam was my favorite this time. Uh, Definitely one of my favorite parts from him is like when he's giving his big speech at the end and he's like, okay, no more secrets, yada yada yada, like here's the truth. And everybody is like, we're superheroes. And then Pedro is like, I'm gay. And like without skipping a beat, Shazam is like, yeah, buddy, we know. And everybody is like, yeah, and I thought that was like really sweet, but I just thought that it showed how much Billy has matured, even though he, like, again, he is still an idiot, and that is literally how the film starts, with him on the couch like, oh my god, I'm such an idiot. But like
Yeah.
he's still an idiot, but like he has matured in a way that like he now feels a sense of responsibility for these siblings of his, which is definitely a long way from where he was at the beginning of the first film. um so it's just great to see him being so like casual and supportive of his siblings. Like, yeah, buddy, we know. Like, we know you're gay. What's the big deal? Like, it's not a problem.
Mm.
And I love that. I love that everybody just is like, it's not a problem. We already know that. But again, like we're superheroes. Like that's the point we're trying to get across, not the point that you're gay. But I thought that was really sweet. But I think Zachary Levi did a really good job. Again, carrying this film. And I think you just feel the weight of the decisions that he has to make this time a bit more. So I really just, yeah, Big Shazam is definitely my favorite character this time around.
Yeah, no, I liked that. I like that he handled. I mean, essentially, it's an adult. It's a weird scenario, isn't it? Like Shazam, he's
Mm-hmm.
playing an adult, um, having to generally give the personality or whatever. He's trying to push across the character of being an adult,
Mm-hmm.
whilst at the same time knowing that actually he's an 18-year-old, or
Mm-hmm.
almost 18-year-old. Um, it's kind of a weird concept as an actor, I would imagine, to do. He's having to skate the line because he is an 18-year-old. He's trying to
Yeah.
play the mind of an 18-year-old as an adult,
Mm-hmm.
but also at the same time convince everybody else that he is an adult. And I love that the times where he does get caught out, especially like that mid-credit sequence with the Suicide Squad people,
Mm-hmm.
where he's like, they're like, oh, Billy Batson. He's like, Billy Batson. I know that's a
Yeah.
cool name for someone who that sounds like a guy who's really handsome and
Yeah. Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
I love it though how he tries to speak like he is an adult
Mm-hmm.
but not an adult. Like I think
Yeah.
that's a really unique sort of thing to put across. Like I don't know.
Yes.
So
And I think
I'm not
he does
describing
that
it very
very
well.
well. No, but yeah, what you're
Uh,
saying, like he's essentially, you are a child in an adult body, but like you still very much behave like a child, and that comes across very well.
and
Like,
he's trying to convince people at the same time that he is an adult. Like it's
right.
a weird
And
way of
nobody's buying it.
yeah. Well, some people were buying it that aren't close to him, but
Yeah.
like yeah. So I think for me, my I was torn on this. Like in some ways I had like three.
Okay.
But I'll stick with I'll tell you my one, but I liked the newcomer, Rachel Zegler, who played
Hmm.
Anthea. I liked her. I thought she was good.
Yeah.
I also liked Freddie, still
Yeah.
obviously played by Jack Grazer. and Adam Brody, who I thought did a really good job of portraying Freddy as adult,
Mhm.
and very much kind of skated the line a bit like Shazam when
Yeah.
he was like about Anthea, like about how he's the real hero. Like I
Yeah.
might have all the powers, but he's the real hero. Like I was just like, this is like Shazam now, and I was like, if you are really trying to get the girl, you will really like when she finds out that you are.
Hmm.
Like, yeah, that's gonna be funny. But no, for me, I thought my actual favorite, the person who stood out to me the most was Grace Curry, the one who plays Mary Bromfield, aka Superhero Mary,
Hmm.
or aka Mary Marvel from the comics. So I thought that she did a good job because I loved that we got more time with her.
Hmm.
She's clearly the brains of this whole
Yes.
Shazam team, and she's the heart of it as well, I think.
Hmm.
Um, and she's very much actually Billy's inspiration for this movie. It's
I
like
think so too. Yeah.
he goes to her, and I think it's why she should be given more props for really being the leader of this team. So,
Yeah. And
and
he
I love her.
acknowledges, he's like, I
Yeah.
don't know anything. Like I don't know how I have the wisdom of Solo Man.
Yeah, I know. And then she, yeah, corrects him and stuff like that. But
Hmm.
even without her powers, like how heroic she was.
Hmm.
And so when we had the unicorn moment at the end, where the young girl goes to throw the skittles, and she just literally grabs her and goes to pull her out of the way.
Hmm.
She has no powers at that point. She's probably going to get skewed by that unicorn horn.
Yeah.
But she, but
She does
yeah,
it anyway.
she does it anyway.
Yeah.
So I really enjoyed it. I think I love the fact as well that she was a couple of things I loved about it was the adult part of her. Like when you
Hmm.
saw her hung over with the glasses, I thought that was
Yeah.
cool. But also how intelligent she is. That she says like she chills out by reading like
Organic chem.
textbooks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like by basically being a scientist, well, not scientist, but by reading, like say biochemistry, whatever. And that's her chill out thing. And I
Yeah.
thought if that's her chill out thing, I was like, she must be super bright. So,
Hmm.
but yeah, no, I loved all of that. I thought it was brilliant. So I love, and I just thought as an actress, she came across really well portraying that balance of
Yeah.
actually being an adult and not being but kind of it's a weird age, isn't it, 18? Because you're like in the middle of child and adult.
Well, but she's 20 or
Yeah,
21. Yeah.
no, I mean
Oh.
sort of between those ages, sort of 18
Oh,
to
yeah, yeah.
21, like
Yeah, yeah.
this, sorry, that's what I meant to say, between 18 and 21. It's a weird setup because you'll be in a mixture of different friendship groups,
Right.
or even have people that are the same age as you in different, might still be studying, and you might have a job, or whatever, or some people aren't doing any of it, it's bumming around.
Hmm.
And so she's in that weird world. And if you look at the whole group of them, all the way down to the young girl who's probably like 8, and yeah, so she's got the whole child but also adult
Yeah.
kind of semi-parental thing going on. So I don't know, I thought she handled it really well, so I liked that. So
Yeah. I love the pep talk she gives him where she's like, we are not your mom and dad. Like, you're not going to lose us the way that they abandoned you. Like, we're not going to abandon you. And I loved that little conversation that she had with Billy.
yeah, I liked that too. I thought that was nice. So
Hmm.
my favorite part though from the movie was, unfortunately, so for her, was just before she lost her powers. But I loved how she really didn't give up. Like,
Hmm.
she was really trying to get away with that
With the
that
apple.
seed. Yeah, with the
Yeah.
apple. Yeah. So I knew it was inevitable that she was going to get struck and lose her powers, but I thought it was good though that she gave it her all. So,
Yeah.
and she, other than Shazam at that point, she was the last one left to have
Yeah.
powers. So
I
um
I loved the interaction between Freddy and the wizard
oh
and
yeah,
how the
yeah.
wizard did not call him by his name until like the end of the film.
Mhm.
He was like, "Come on, Jeff." And he's like, "Did you just call me Jeff?" Like,
Oh
what the hell?
yeah. I thought it was great that the wizard got a lot more screen time.
Yes, I love Jamin
And
Hunsu so much.
oh, he's a brilliant actor. Like, and just to see him at the end all tidied up and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, he looked real fly. He looked a lot like Midnight from Constantine. Like he looked
Oh
very
yeah.
much like that character.
So yeah, no, I loved actually the Freddy and the Wizard dynamic was really good.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. It was fun to see Freddie get to interact with someone like from that world.
Mm.
Also one of my favorite scenes, completely inappropriate, but I laughed all the same, was when Darla is riding the unicorn and she just screams, "Taste the rainbow, motherfucker."
Oh, I thought that was good too.
That
Yeah.
was
So,
so funny. Of course, they bleeped out the whole word, but still, like you
mm.
could tell that's what she was gonna say. And I was like, this girl is crazy. She's riding on this demon unicorn talking about taste the rainbow, motherfucker. Like, what?
Okay, so yeah, let's talk about the structure of this movie. Um, this is where like I had a thought on this,
Hmm.
and this is kind of something that I've seen it happen a lot, where this movie purely happens because of one thing that happened
Right.
in the previous one, the breaking of the staff,
Hmm.
and that whole irresponsibilities of just leaving it on the floor. And
Yeah.
even as Billy said later on, you know, I wasn't the only one there. You know, everyone else could have picked that stuff up too.
Yeah.
So I was like, that
Hmm.
one thing that he did. And whilst I get it, at the time it beat that bad guy, it creates this whole other movie. Now, don't get me wrong, this is a common thing that's used throughout,
Yeah.
you know, entertainment. And I'm sure if I was to write a story at some point, I probably would use it myself. But it was more the whole leaving the staff laying around on the floor was I found a really irritating thing that they did.
But
And I'm
he's a kid.
sure,
What else would he
no,
have done with it?
no, I'm sure the others, I do agree with him. His one point where he said, I wasn't the only one there.
Yeah.
Mary is older. Mary could have at least grabbed that staff.
Yeah.
So, and I get why they left it on the floor. At the time, they probably didn't think they needed it. Like, and it was a great loophole for the writers to go back and use it. So,
Yep.
whether or not that was planned, I do not know. But yeah, that kind of that played in my mind at the beginning of this film, thinking if that one thing hadn't happened, this
Right.
movie just wouldn't exist.
Very
Like,
true.
or I'm sure they would have found another way to have done it, but it, you know, they would have said something happened, etc. But yeah, I don't know. I just thought I think it's just irritating, and I've said it before when characters do stupid things, but if
Hmm.
characters don't do stupid things, a lot of the time
Right. We
stories
don't
don't
have
happen.
films.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Like and they do. So anyway, that was just my initial thing. But anyway, to talk about the structure of this movie, for me, I think it was actually well written. I think it was.
Yeah.
I think it had some really clever setup in certain areas as well. There were several things I thought throughout the movie that they set up quite nicely. It wasn't. I don't think the writing was poor. It was definitely not a Wonder Woman 1984. You know,
Uh,
that was obviously a terrible sequel. And we have
Outside of
said,
Christopher Nolan's films, this is the best follow-up that DC has done in
yeah.
12 DCEU films. This is
Well,
their
no,
best
this
one.
no, this no, the Suicide Squad was a good follow up.
Oh,
So
that's true. Okay, so this would be
yeah,
the second best.
yeah. So, but generally, DC have really struggled with follow up movies, and I think they
Yeah.
actually did a really good job of as a follow up movie. And I did notice this, like I said, throughout the movie that they had clever setups, like the Skittles thing.
Hmm.
They had the young girl
At the
have
very
the
beginning.
Skittles
Yeah.
several times with the bowl of Skittles. The Skittles was used very cleverly. It wasn't like she just threw the Skittles randomly,
Right.
and that probably would have been something that happened in Wonder Woman 84. But I have to admire how clever they were in terms of putting this together
Yeah.
because you've got to think they had a lot of characters to keep track of,
Hmm.
and yeah, even like Billy and his stepmom, the whole setup of calling her mum later on,
Hmm.
there was so much small setup, and even the revelation of I'm gay.
Hmm.
That again had a small setup where he glanced down at the magazine earlier in the film
Hmm.
and saw the guy with his top off, and I was like, oh, I wonder because there's so much going on. I did think, what are they going to do with that? Like, is
Yeah.
that just a throwaway glance down and nothing's going to happen? Because that's actually what I thought. I didn't think we were going to come back to that,
Hmm.
and because it's so big, this story, not big story, but such a big cast,
Hmm.
I think they've done such a good job in handling the character development that they did get. No, they didn't. None of them got a vast amount of character development,
Right.
but it was more of an action. This was a blockbuster movie, basically,
Hmm.
but they did enough, I think, throughout the movie to create a fairly solid, I think, story. Or they did a good job in origin of the villains, and also gave good backstory, as well as creating good setup
Yeah.
for smaller plot lines as well as larger plot lines. I mean, what do you think about sort of the writing and how they structured the film?
I mean, I thought it was well laid out. It flowed really well. Nothing felt out of place. I think I don't know. I think I just like you said, it was just over 2 hours. Like it has like a 2 hour and 5 minute runtime. But
Yeah,
like I didn't feel it. It didn't
no,
feel lengthy. It didn't feel long. Everything that they did felt well placed. Like whether or not you believe the whole God's story is a different thing. I mean, we haven't gotten there yet, but like if I would have cut or changed anything, I might have adjusted some of the time that we spent in like the God realm, and made that a bit less. I mean, I probably only would have shaved off maybe another 5 or 10 minutes of the film, but that's really my only complaint is that a lot of that space was wasted. Like we didn't really need that sequence of Freddy like tumbling and rolling and trying to be all stealthy to get the apple. We could have just had him sneaking around to get the apple without all of the dramatics. But other than that, I think like I don't really have any complaints with the structure and I mean I enjoyed the writing. I think the writing made sense for the characters that we got. I don't feel like any of the characters except for Darla and her F bomb. Like other than that, like I feel like all of the characters felt very much like themselves, like the characters that we are already familiar with from the first film. Nobody
Mhm.
felt out of place. Nobody felt weird. Um, and even like the new villains, like each of them had their own distinct personality that I felt like they kept their own personalities throughout the entire film, even when they were switching sides, you know? So I mean, I liked it. I think that they did a good job of playing up to each of the individual actors' strengths because I think you got 6 kids that turn into 6 different adults. So you've got 12 main characters essentially, plus all of your background characters. Like you said, it's a lot of people to keep up with, but everybody felt very genuine to themselves.
Mhm. Yeah, I as part of me thought or felt sorry when I watched this, it was sounds pretty cheesy, but a bit like Coming Home, I think, because that
Mm,
first film, like I think, did a very good job in creating that family atmosphere
yes.
and showing the sort of the home that they lived in, and then we got to go back to that world again. And when this ended, I thought, because obviously I knew I was hearing about the drama before we got there. I
Hmm.
thought, I do hope that we get a Shazam 3. I don't think
Yeah.
we will. I don't think we will.
And that's
But
a bummer. Because I really think that this franchise, of all of the pieces that DC has going, this one feels the most different. Like Suicide Squad
and
is definitely way out there, but like Shazam just feels like a feel good kind of franchise, you
mm,
know? Like it's not, yeah, you're dealing with villains and there are big stakes at play, but like it is so not heavy like most of the rest of the DCEU. And it's nice to have a franchise like this because, like you said, it's easy to watch, it's light, and the rewatchability of it is very high. Whereas, like with the Justice League or Batman versus Superman, those are heavy films, like 1 or 2 times, maybe 3 times to watch them, and you're good. But like, I feel like Shazam is the kind of movie you could just throw it on like on a Saturday while you're cleaning, and it's just like background noise pretty much.
yeah, no, I agree with you. I've watched the first Shazam quite a lot. I've
Hmm.
actually really weirdly watched that one more than Man of Steel or Batman versus Superman
Yeah, it's
and
easy
all the
to.
yeah, and even the Justice Leagues. Well, the first the Joss Whedon Justice League is trash, but the Zack Snyder Justice League is actually a really strong movie, but it's 4 hours long,
Yeah.
so which is fine. Which is fine. Like it's fine for the fact that they gave in. Like
Hmm.
DC gave, well, Warner Brothers gave in and gave people what they wanted. But with this movie and the previous movie, I think these are good family films and they've got a lot more watchability about them than those
Right.
movies. So, um, anyway, favorite scenes within the movie, I would say there was many scenes I enjoyed throughout this film, but one that I actually think was brilliant was that we finally got something that we should have had in the previous movie. Actually had Gal Gadot, Wonder
Mm.
Woman, and I know they teased it earlier in the
Yeah, I
movie.
didn't know she was going to be in it. So like I wore my Wonder Woman shirt to the theater today, and like I knew that there was like a stunt double. I didn't realize before I went that it was a dream sequence, but I knew that there was a Wonder Woman stunt double that was in the film, but I didn't know Gal was in it at all. And so like I got really excited when she popped up at the end.
I thought that was brilliant. Like when
Yeah, because I forgot
I,
too when they were like, "Is there anything that we can do?" Like we have the staff, and the wizard is like, "No, the staff is depleted, and like we don't have any gods." And I was like, "Oh shit, we don't have any gods!" And I totally forgot that she's a demigod. And so like when she walked up, I was like, "Oh hell yeah, here we go! This is gonna be
I
great."
I actually wondered because of the fact that it was most likely not going to be a Shazam 3.
Mhm.
I was like actually thinking, I think they actually are going to do it. They're going to leave Billy dead. That's literally where I thought they were going to go.
Me too.
And
Me
I
too.
actually thought they are going to leave him dead, and that will be it. That will be the end of the Shazam
Hmm.
saga, and we'll just have to get about Black Adam because that's probably where that's going anyway. And I thought that is going to be it. And then when they said there's anything we can do, and like you say, we've got no other gods,
Hmm.
my brain was going. I was like, hold on, like, and then suddenly that music kicks in,
Yeah, the
uh,
music.
and I thought, oh, please don't be another stunt double where we don't see the face, and
Get out. Yep.
and that's why, because I thought obviously we'd had the tease earlier in the film of the stunt double, so I'm assuming that was done. I, I'm going to make an assumption that the stunt double in the dream sequence was probably done deliberately
Hmm.
as a bit of a funny nod to the previous film with the stunt double with Superman,
I think so.
and that was probably meant to be a funny thing,
Yeah.
and but also to tease the audience, because if you'd have had Gal Gadot in that dream sequence,
Hmm.
it wouldn't have been a surprise to have her
Right.
walk
To
in
have her
at
at
the
the end.
end.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think if they'd have showed her in the dream sequence, if you'd have been standing around then at the end, people would have been like, "Well, Wonder Woman's been in this film already."
Yeah.
So the fact you didn't see her face, the audience would have known that wasn't actually Wonder Woman, like,
Yeah.
or well, Gal Gadot. But for me, yeah, that was my favorite scene. Like, I thought it was brilliant. So, and I did think to myself, this movie has generally been able to stand on its own outside the DCU, but
Yeah.
also in it.
Right.
But and I did think it was great. This is one of the things I do love about shared universes is when we can have those cameos. So,
Yes. I mean, I think
uh,
that they use cameos well. Like the dream sequence was a bit, but even in the first film, like you don't see Henry Cavill because it's obviously not Henry Cavill, but like that was still a really good cameo to have Superman show up at the school cafeteria. Like I really did enjoy that in the first film, and in this one, I did. I'm so glad that we got Diana. Like I'm so glad that she showed up, and she was like, all the gods ain't dead. Which of course then it just makes me really pissed that DC canned the Ava DuVernay New Gods movie that we were supposed to get, because it's like, oh, you had so many great setups to introduce these new gods, and now who knows? I don't know. Maybe our boy Jimbo will revive the new gods. I don't know, but
I'm assuming this is probably the last time we'll see Gal Gadot as Wonder
yeah,
Woman.
that's unfortunate as well. But I would say like my favorite scene is definitely like that end fight scene with
Oh, the
Shazam and the
dragon.
dragon and
Yeah.
Lucy Liu, and just like the fact that he is just like, no, he tells Hespera like, okay, well, if I can get this staff powered up enough, can I kill the dragon? And she was like, yeah, you can, but you're also going to destroy everything else inside this dome. And so at that point, when he's like, well, I got one more favor to ask, and I was like, oh no, he's gonna sacrifice himself. Like he's gonna ask her to make the dome only surround the stadium. And that's sure enough, that's exactly what he did. And just like the maturity that he displayed at the very end, where he's like, this is the only way. I know I can do this. I know that I can make this work, and I'm not letting anybody else die here today. I really loved it. I loved it. And then the big like Shazam scream at the end with that giant lightning bolt, like that was just really good. I thought that the whole ending sequence, that was a nice boss battle.
Mhm. Um, question about anything. We always ask or discuss, is there anything you'd cut or change or anything like that?
Mm-hmm.
And the one thing I would change is we all know that Shazam is not called Shazam. I'll be honest with you, I don't read Shazam or Black Adam in the comics, but I am aware that he has been known as Captain Marvel.
Uh-huh.
I do know DC has been moving away from that even being on the front page and stuff like that. No, I don't know if you caught at one point someone did call him
Yes.
Captain Marvel.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I thought that was good. and I was really hoping, okay, they're going to do it. They're going to be brave and actually do it. And when he says at the end to the wizard, "What's my superhero name?" and he goes, "It's Shazam." I was like, oh, it's like, and I thought, no, like, why couldn't you have done it, Captain Marvel? Like, and I know that DC and Warner Brothers probably don't want to do that because fans are probably like, what?
Mhm.
Like, you can't do that. Marvel have got Captain Marvel, but he was Captain Marvel before
Yeah, he
they
was
had a
Captain
Captain
Marvel
Marvel.
long before we got Carol Danvers.
Yeah. Well, and also, well, Carol Danvers wasn't the actual first Captain Marvel. They had a male Captain Marvel first in the comics,
Mm.
but um, that's the one thing I would have done. I would have ended it with your real name is Captain Marvel,
Mhm.
and she could have been Mary Marvel and
Yeah.
all the rest of it. I don't know. I just thought like that's the one bit I would have changed because I thought it was cool that they were brave enough to call him Captain Marvel at one point, but not to actually follow that
Yeah,
through.
not to
So
it for it to be it's just one of the many bajillion of names that he is called by.
because he can't go out and say I'm Shazam
Mhm.
because there's problems then.
Yeah, because then he'd change every single
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
Yeah.
What's he gonna do? Just hold up a piece of paper and say that's my name?
Yeah.
Like, like,
Hopefully we get another film to find out.
well, yeah, we'll see.
Yeah,
So,
we'll see.
anyway, there's two mid-credit sequences, what mid and post. So the mid-credit sequence had Shazam potentially being recruited by Amelia and John from the Peacemaker TV series and the Suicide Squad to join the Justice Society. It's kind of a comedy moment. Apparently, there was like, well, Jasmine said it earlier.
Hmm.
There should have been other actors in it. Do you know which characters were meant to be in it or not?
Yes, it was supposed to be Hawkman and Cyclone.
Okay. Um, I think that would have been awesome. I
Yeah, me
think
too.
like that would have been much better for me. Um, and I just don't get why Warner Brothers rolled over for The Rock. He's not that powerful.
I
I
mean,
mean,
he
I
was
know.
powerful enough to tank 3 franchises, though.
What do you mean by that? Like, which ones are you referring to?
Black Adam, Superman, and Shazam.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So, well, he wasn't trying to tank them, but he did.
Hmm.
So he was trying to tank Shazam. He wasn't trying to tank the other two.
Yeah.
So he wanted to revitalize those. But
Well, your actions have consequences, sir.
I think his actions did cause the cancellation of Superman and Black Adam. I
Yeah.
think, yeah. Anyway, it's a shame we didn't get those. I think that Black Adam movie was a good movie, and I think the people that were in the Justice Society were brilliant, and I would love to see them again. I
Yeah.
don't think we will. I think they're done.
Yeah.
I think that Black Adam.
That's such a bummer because I really, really liked Aldous Hodge as Hawkman. I really
Yeah.
did. And I
So,
loved Pierce Brosnan as Dr. Fate, but Dr.
mm,
Fate kind of died in Black Adam. So
yeah. However, Amelia and John, I think, are funny. I think they have a good
yes.
relationship. I think he's probably not going to join the Justice Society, but I did think it was a nice cameo, so which because then it doesn't completely ignore Black Adam.
Hmm.
So, and maybe there's a chance for a Justice Society down the road. We'll have to see.
Fingers
So,
crossed. Fingers crossed. We got to see what Jimbo's got up his sleeve.
yeah. So,
And then
anyway,
the post-credit scene is almost a frame by frame shot of the mid-credit scene from the last film, except that Dr. Savannah now has a bearded mustache. But like literally, we go back to the prison. He is still in his prison cell. The caterpillar comes back. The caterpillar is Mr. Mind. And he's just like, the fuck, man? It's been 2.5 years. Like, what is the deal? And the caterpillar is like, I don't have legs. Like, I have to slither everywhere. It takes me a very long time to get from one place to another. And he's like, what is the plan? What are we doing? And the caterpillar's like, I got one more thing I got to take care of. And then he leaves again. And Savannah is like, you got to be kidding me. Like, it's just like the most ridiculous end credit scene because he's really like, you told me 2 years ago you had a plan and then you disappeared for 2 years and now you come back and then you're leaving again without telling me the plan again. And he's like, yeah, I'll be back. I'm like, oh, okay.
so when the way that ends, that kind of irritates me, considering it's most likely not going to get a third film.
Yeah. I wonder if they
So,
did that on purpose. Like I'll be back, except I won't be.
hmm. Yeah, I don't know. I want DC to give this a third film, but I don't think.
Yeah.
I think it's done. I think
That's a
so.
shame. I do enjoy this franchise. I very much enjoy the Shazam franchise.
Mhm. I think Jimbo and The Rock tanked this, so I think they're both responsible for various things.
Well, I think
But
Jimbo was inadvertent. Like he was like, this is the mess. How do we clean it up? So I think he was very strategic in what he did, whereas The Rock was more like selfish. Like,
yeah,
no, this is about me and who can make me look the best.
Mhm.
So
I, I think
different motives, but still the same result.
The Rock wanted the DCU to be sort of
The Rock
the Rock,
verse.
the Rock CU or
Yeah.
something like
Yeah.
that. Like he wanted a Rock universe.
See, that's what happened.
Uh,
DC should have called Vin Diesel to have a conversation
yeah.
with Vin Diesel, like, hey man, why'd you kick the Rock out of your franchise? And Vin Diesel would have been like, let me write you a novel as to what happened with Fast and
I
Furious.
love the fact that they made a Fast and Furious reference in this though.
Yes.
I bet the Rock did not like that.
Well,
So
I mean, how could they not? Like, it's Helen Mirren. Helen Mirren is in the Fast and
oh
Furious
yeah,
franchise, so
yeah. Well, that.
yeah,
I love it how he's like, yeah, I learned from the Fast and Furious, it's all about family. I was like,
yeah.
oh, that classic line. Although I bet you any money, The Rock doesn't actually watch this film, so
Oh no, of course not.
he's not going to watch this film. So,
Nah.
yeah, I don't know. I really like The Rock. When he's in movies, I enjoy him.
Yeah, me too.
But
I
I'm
like
really,
it's turning into the same thing like with Tom Cruise. Like I love Tom Cruise movies, but Tom Cruise is batshit crazy in real life. Like I would never want to hang out with Tom Cruise in real life. But like you put Tom Cruise in a movie and like I'm gonna go see it because it's a Tom Cruise movie.
I don't know. So Tom Cruise, I think, is an absolutely brilliant actor,
Mhm.
but he's just so self-absorbed.
Yeah.
And then The Rock, I think, is actually just like Tom Cruise. I think he is a brilliant. I will watch a film because The
Yeah.
Rock's in it.
Yeah.
But I think The Rock actually is now really going down the Tom Cruise road for me.
Yeah. It seems like it, which is
So
unfortunate. Come back, Rock.
yeah,
Come
yeah.
back, please.
I think you just need to lower your ego a little bit.
Let's go back to the way you were when you did Walking Tall or The
Yeah,
Rundown.
yeah. Um, I shared this years ago, not years ago, months ago, where somebody said in the comments on a post, every movie I feel like that Dwayne Johnson's in is just another Rock movie. Like, it's not, even though they're all separate films, they said, I feel like I'm just watching The Rock Part 73. And, and then I remember sharing, I actually screenshotted that comment because I thought it was brilliant. And I just shared it with a friend. And they said, yeah, like, I agree with what you're saying, or agree with this comment. However, I still enjoy it, and I'm very much looking forward to The Rock Part 74.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
uh,
same. Like I am a fan of his body of work,
hmm,
but like I am not really a fan of what he does behind the scenes. Like I just don't it's not always about you. You know, like
hmm.
you're stepping into these franchises that are already established and you trying to come in and take over an established franchise, I have a problem with. But like if you had built Black Adam from the ground up, then like, okay, fine, I'll give you that. But like, why is it that you're building Black Adam, but you're also like pulling the strings for Superman, and then you're suppressing some of the things that are supposed to be happening with Shazam? Like
He
you,
could he could have tried to really strengthen that. Like
yeah,
he could have even said, "Oh, look, do you want me for a cameo?"
he turned down a cameo. They asked him, and he said no, he would not do a cameo for Shazam 2.
See, he should have done it. Like he should have sucked it up and done it. He should, if he was trying to support this shared universe and been the Don that he thinks he is, he should have been, like it's like I say to my kids, you need to be promoting each other, not
Not tearing each
sort
other
of,
down. Yeah,
yeah,
like
like
you're all part of
and
the same like group of family characters, right? Like
mhm.
I don't know. This is all speculation. Like we have no idea what's going on behind the scenes, but like it just seems like he makes it difficult to get things done. Almost kind of like the way that people talk about Ed Norton. Like Ed Norton is a brilliant actor, but Ed Norton is very difficult to work with
Hmm.
because he always wants input on what happens with the scripting and what happens with the blocking and what happens with the like he wants to put his hands in every aspect of the filmmaking, and it's like at some point you are the actor, like act. You
Hmm.
don't get to be the director and the cinematographer
Well,
and the writer and
unless
all
it's
of this stuff.
yours, unless it's your story, your creation, like um so I think I heard things like what The Rock said, well, I think he's trying to now really look at what other franchises he's got. He's got the Jumanji franchise.
Yeah,
So
but that
I know,
second film was awful. The first one was great. The second film was
yeah.
awful. Like do
Mhm.
better.
Well, I think they're gonna also try and grow Sephora out of it and stuff like that now.
Yeah.
So
But see,
anyway,
I think The Rock is really good at that kind of stuff. Like he is
yeah.
good at playing that super campy like he's really good in Jumanji.
Hmm.
I don't know. I don't know. That's
Anyway,
another thread for another day.
Yeah. So, okay, we'll try and wrap this up now. So, what would you rate this movie?
I would give this movie. Yeah, I give this movie a 4.
I think I'll give it a 3.5.
Okay.
Yeah. So, next episode, we will be reviewing. We're going to game content this up, and
A
we're going to be
whole
going
month
back.
of gaming.
Yeah. So, the whole of April, we will do some gaming adapted content. So, we will be jumping back to 1993 for the Super Mario Brothers movie. You all know Bob Hoskins, so
And John Leguizamo. Oh my god, I love
uh,
this movie so much. I'm so excited.
I haven't seen this movie in a long time, but I loved it. So
It does not age
um,
well, I promise.
I can
It's gonna
imagine.
be
So it's
terrible.
been a long time since I've seen it, so
Yeah.
it's probably going to be another Howard the Duck in the making. But
Yeah,
anyway,
I think so.
anyway, you can follow us on social media. We're Geeks Unleashed everywhere: Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Please follow, like, share, say
Yeah,
hello.
come talk to us. And you can get this podcast wherever you get your podcasts. Google, Podbean, Apple, Spotify. We're everywhere. So please leave us a 5-star review and tell your geek friends.
Good journey.
Good journey.